In the previous chapter, it was an introduction to our first Greyhawk city map, that of Womtham. In this chapter, we will be taking a deeper dive into the historical references that I use for determining city size and city shape. So grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's do this together. This, I think, has the right balance to it. Let's talk about the next step. I'm going to leave that on there. That's all kind of like draft one, right? Let's talk about the next things I start to consider. This is a population of 19,200 people. Or, let's call it 20,000. So what sort of sizes are we looking at? What sort of other cities, maybe in the real world, are we looking at that have a similar population? So what I do is I actually come to this site right here. It's on the wiki. It has historical urban community sizes. You can go to any period in time. Right now I'm working in the later medieval ages, so 1000 to 1399. And it gives us, by period, the approximate populations of these places. So if we actually take a look at this, for example, we have, well, let's take something like Braunschweig. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. Population 21, around 1200. And take a look at Braunschweig here. This is what it looked like around that time. That gives us inspiration for even a city shape, right? I mean, let's just sort of take a closer look at this. It's a nice, pretty place too. Show me the map. Show me the map. There we go. So this is an interesting shape. This look at the waterways going on here. This is fascinating. I would never think of drawing a city like this. But here's a historical example of where it actually has occurred. Doesn't feel like a Womtham now, does it? Not really. This is not I mean, this might be a fairly major river, but I feel like it is wrong for our purposes. So because of that, I'm going to discount it. You're out of here. So let's take a look at another one. Further down, we could see the city of Cologne. Population 21,000. A little larger. But early on, around 1000, it's about the right size. What did Cologne look like back in the day? Well, look like this. Which is getting interesting, right? We have a major river. We have a little bit of population on the other side. Got some islands in the middle here. And a major city on the other side. This is intriguing. The danger here is that we could easily overpopulate this. So I want to be very careful about that. Plus, it's a little mundane in shape. It is fairly traditional in its approach, but nevertheless, interesting. I do wonder about the lack of bridges here. I've got to be honest with you. At least they're not shown on this particular map, and one would assume, although must be a very major sort of ferry service going back and forth right here. So this is kind of cool. I also, by the way, I kind of like the fact that heraldry and everything has been embedded on that. We're gonna tap into this without a doubt. We're gonna have the appropriate heraldry on our map in the future. So Cologne is definitely ranking up there as an option. There are some other maps of Cologne that I've got. Here's one here. This is with fortifications, which is kind of interesting. And this one right here, so hopefully you can start to see my approach. I find a historical city of the same sort of size, and I start to get inspiration from that then. You could also sort of see here, this one has got the growth of walls coming out, and I want to talk about this in a moment. That's going to be a good example for us. One other example of what I discounted was actually this one. Bruges. I think this is pronounced as. Now, this particular city has the right population, but the shape of it just is not working for me. I mean, yeah, okay, this is a historical city. They've got some kind of, mega moat type of thing going on. But I'm not really sort of seeing a river here. So I think, I mean, this egg shape is great, but it's not right for our purposes here. So we're going to discount that. It was just part of my journey in trying to narrow everything down. Now, other source of inspiration, on our last fantasy mapping show, someone in the chat suggested Bath from England, Somerset, I think, specifically. Now, the thing about Bath is it's beautiful, for starters, and I looked at this picture and I thought, well, that would be kind of cool if this bridge was like a major bridge like this and actually had stuff built on it. That would be cool. That would be interesting. But Bath as an actual shape, I don't know. It's kind of almost has a narrow side against the river, and then is built away from the river. Now, clearly, historically, this happened, but I wasn't sure if I wanted this shape, because this starts to get a little bit like the city of Greyhawk, right? The city of Greyhawk has got something similar in reverse, but if you actually sort of take a look at a city of Greyhawk map, here's one, the free city of Greyhawk, narrow edge up against the river, built away from. So I kind of don't want to replicate that. And there's something about this shape that irks me, but I can't tell you why it irks me. But I don't really want to do that here. Also, this, by the way, only has a population of about 2,000. So it feels wrong. Now, I do like the fact that we have these orchards and farms that really are probably driving this. But I think part of what's going on here is this is not a major sort of trade area. Bath is not a major sort of trade town. I think that is probably partially influencing the fact that it didn't spill along the river to at least an extent. I'm seeing that they're probably tapping into the fertile sort of nature of the river, and Bath is almost centered more away from the river with like access to it, which is a really cool concept. I think we might leverage in a future map, but not here. Not here. So cool for the research, but I think we're going to put a pin in that for the future. So that really leaves us, let me just close, we don't need to be taking a look at this anymore. That really leaves us with Cologne as a city. And I think that's what we're going to kind of go with. So what I have sketched out here, I think is where my head is currently at. In the next chapter, we are going to explore Greyhawk, Womtham, city shapes. Let's do that together. I'll see you in the next chapter. If you have enjoyed this video, if you are curious about where the Greyhawk city maps are going, please consider hitting me up with a like, a subscribe, and check out my Patreon on patreon.com/Alyssa Faden. Until then, much love to all of you.